Hey there, House here. Well, with another rendition of COVID-19 baseball set to begin, I wanted to take some time to talk about some key players and will be playing this year, as well as some early favorites to win the World Series. The first thing I wanted to mention, though, was how Major League Baseball is going to go through this season. After going through an abbreviated 2020 season, they're planning on playing a full 162-game season this year. Personally, I don't believe it's a good idea. With COVID still running rampant everywhere, I thought it would have been a better idea to still have an abbreviated season, but play more than 60 games. I figured if you tried to set up a 120 game schedule with ample days off more towards the end of the season, that would allow for more time to play games that will inevitably be postponed due to COVID. One thing that will be carrying over from last year is when doubleheaders are scheduled for teams, they will only be 7-inning games, which will make things a little bit easier for all teams that are involved. Now on to some big names that are either staying put or moving on. The first name is George Springer, who is leaving Houston to join a young Toronto Blue Jays team for 6 years worth $150 million. A nice payday for a career 270 batter, but he will bring some veteran presence and a solid all-around player to a team that is looking to get back to the postseason. The next player is Trevor Bauer, who was another big-name free agent that was weighing his options as to where he would end up playing this year. And after conceivably confirming that he would sign with the New York Mets and continuing to greatly improve that already great rotation, he then changed his mind and signed a 3-year contract with the Dodgers for $102 million. That addition continues to make them the odds-on favorite to win the World Series this year, as they did last year, but more on that later. Another name that I want to mention who doesn't classify as a big name signing but is big for this team is Marcus Stroman signing a 1-year contract to stay with the New York Mets. The same Mets who now have Jacob deGrom, Carlos Carrasco, and Marcus Stroman, and in the summer will have Noah Syndergaard, who's coming off of Tommy John surgery, to match with their offensive output of the newly acquired Francisco Lindor, Jeff McNeil, and Pete Alonso. Along with the signing of James McCann, which makes this team not only a favorite to make the playoffs, but make a pretty deep run in the postseason. The last signing I wanted to mention was DJ LeMahieu re-signing with the New York Yankees for a 6-year deal worth $90 million. A more than acceptable contract for a player who was playing at such a high level last year that most thought he was in line to win the MVP. Now, on to some teams that are favorites to win the World Series. The top team is the LA Dodgers, which should come to no surprise, seeing as how they won it all last year. Another team are the New York Yankees, who year in and year out always are in the conversation for a top team to win the World Series based on the amount of talent that they're able to pay for. The only thing that has yet to be seen is if that talent can actually stay healthy during a full season. The next team that I wanted to highlight are the San Diego Padres. For those who don't recall from my MLB postseason predictions from last year, I was very high on the Padres just based on the talent they had on the team, in addition to all of the acquisitions that they made at the trade deadline last year. They were just a very exciting team that were making as much of an effort as they could to win now. And now with some actual playoff experience, they were a favorite to win as well, just based solely on their supreme talent. The front runner of that talent is Fernando Tatis Jr., who just inked a 14-year, $340 million deal. They aren't afraid to spend money and do what they need to win now. Be sure to watch this team as the trade deadline nears just to see who they make a run at. Now, the last team that I wanted to mention are the Chicago White Sox, a team that has been in a rebuild for what feels like decades, are now primed to not only make the playoffs in back-to-back years, but also make a serious run. From building within with draft picks like Tim Anderson and a few trades like Eloy Jimenez and Lance Lynn, and some free agent signings like Luis Robert, Dallas Keuchel, Jose Abreu, and Liam Hendricks, this team has been thrown into the ring as a top contender to win the World Series. And as their GM has already stated, this year the goal is World Series or bust. This is another team to be on the lookout for when the trade deadline arrives, just to see if they add some additional pieces to help them with their goal of a World Series ring. Well, that will about do it for me. As always, thank you for tuning into the House Report. I Like most, I'm extremely excited for another baseball season, just to see where this season may lead us, as well as the possibility for a full season to actually take place. And before I leave, just wanted to say something to all my betting friends out there. Remember, you'll win some and you'll lose some, but the house always wins.